Hey, what's up? It's Brian here, and in this video I'm going to go over authenticity and the similarities between the beginning and the end of life. And I'm specifically going to reference a quote from this book. So it's called Life Lessons: Two Experts on Death and Dying Teach Us About the Mysteries of Life and Living. And I picked up this book recently. I knew about it for a while, but recently picked it up. I've been thinking about just how I think one of the biggest topics that we as a society don't really address is the fact that a lot of times when people die, the life lessons die with them, right? I don't really think we as society create structured spaces or structured systems to really enable the elderly or older people or people on their deathbed to really share their experiences and their wisdoms with people, right? Like that happens on a case-by-case basis, but there's nothing set. So I think that that's just something that I feel like there's space here to really create something meaningful. And I have an idea to address this actually that might come to fruition at some point. But I'm going to talk about that maybe later on. But anyway, I picked up this book just with an open mind, just trying to see if I can gain some insights from it. So I'm going to go over one quote in this video, but I'm going to put up probably like 10 to 12 videos on just different quotes and segments from this book that I'm going to share my perspective on. And this is not a book review. I'm just going over specific quotes from the book that I like. So let's get right into it. So this first video, I'm going to go over this one segment on page 26. I'm going to read it all the way through and then talk about it real quick. So the quote is, "When we see the dying, we no longer see those faults, mistakes, or diseases that we focused on before. Now we only see them, because at the end of life they become more genuine, more honest, more themselves, just like children and infants. Are we only able to see who we actually are at life's beginnings and endings? Do only extreme circumstances reveal ordinary truths? Are we otherwise blind to our genuine selves? This is the key lesson of life, to find our authentic selves and to see the authenticity in others." So really deep thing. And my perspective on this is that it's just so interesting that when you're 1 year old and 90 years old, say someone on their deathbed, you can't really talk bad about that person, right? It's frowned upon. Like, even though a 1 year old might misbehave and say a 90-year-old who's about to die has made mistakes in his or her life, you still see them for who they are. You love them for who they are. You value their authenticity, right? But then it's like in between those stages, people oftentimes treat people like crap. So that's a really interesting thing, and I think you can really reflect on that. And I think we as people should really see the beauty, the value in people all throughout life, not condemning their behavior all the way, but recognizing them as, look, they're a flawed person, but that's who they are, and you need to honor their spirit and their capability to grow also. So I think that's something to keep in mind. And really for yourself too, keep this whole quote in mind too. Like, why only be yourself as an infant and as a 90-year-old about to die, right? Like, you should have that perspective that you want to be as authentically you as possible in between those stages, right? A 1 year old and a 90-year-old, they don't care how they're perceived. They don't care about, quote unquote, how they should be through, social conditioning or school or how parents think they should be. They don't care about that. They just want to be their genuine self at those places in life. So in between, you got to act that way too, I believe. You have to really maintain your commitment to your authenticity. I think that that's so important. And I really hope that just us as humanity, look, the way we are right now in 2021, there's way more fake people. There's way more temptations to not be yourself. It's even worse than it was back in the day, but back in the, I think, 1800s, Ralph Waldo Emerson had the famous quote, "To be yourself in a world that's constantly trying to change you is the greatest accomplishment." And I would say it's even more of an accomplishment today. So that's my challenge to you. Have that deathbed perspective from the womb and to the grave. Not just when you're 1 year old, be yourself. Not just when you're about to die, be yourself. But in between, prioritize your authenticity. Comment down below your thoughts on the video. Prioritize authenticity.